What is happening, people? My name is Robbie and this is the From Day One podcast, episode 2. You're probably noticing from the title that there is no guest, and in episode 1 I did explain that there would be guests. Where are the guests? What's happening? I've had, surprisingly, a few people have commented on TikTok, I've had the odd message on Instagram, comments on YouTube asking, what is the situation with the podcast? I was looking forward to it. That surprised me for whatever reason. Lack of confidence in my podcast, maybe, I don't know. But I was surprised that people were interested. And let me turn this down, it's a little bit loud. I was surprised that people were interested because I haven't started it yet. I would understand if I had posted a few videos and then stopped and people started to think, well, where's the podcast went? But I've only posted an announcement episode, so I thought I would quickly jump on and film another quick one. It's probably going to be 10 or 15 minutes explaining why I haven't started the podcast yet after saying that I was going to, and what the situation is. So right off the bat, my plan to start and continue the podcast still underway. I still plan to do that, still trying to find the time, and still have a few provisional guests who I'm actually going to send some messages after I've filmed this and make sure they're still up for it, and then probably just go and do it this week or next week, hopefully. Why have I not done that earlier? We're now on the 21st of February and I did say in November that I was going to start a podcast. Well, I've had a little bit of drama with my health, which surprised me. If you follow me on social media, you will know that I've been in the hospital. So I'm going to tell the story about how I ended up in the hospital because I think it's quite interesting and I think someone might benefit from it. This is not finance, business related, but I thought it might be something interesting for an episode until I get someone in to be a guest. So in December, the 31st to be exact, I was getting ready to go out for New Year. I was going out for a night out in Edinburgh and I started to get a pain in my stomach. And it felt like a pain in my stomach, but also felt like a pain in my back. Couldn't really figure out where the pain was coming from. I just knew I felt sort of uncomfortable. I thought to myself, maybe I have ate too much junk food, drank a little bit too much alcohol. That's probably what it is. It's probably nothing. Over the next 2 weeks, I would say, it got progressively worse to the point that I was folded at a 90-degree angle at my hips. I could not stand up straight for the life of me. Everywhere I walked, I had to limp. I was hunched over like a prawn. I couldn't do anything. I wasn't able to walk my dog. I couldn't walk further than probably 25 metres before I had to stop and catch my breath. We had to visit some family in the hospital, and hospitals are notoriously long walks from the car park. You park up, you have to walk up and down all these long corridors and stuff. I couldn't do it. Physically could not do it. I had to stop and lean against things and sit down. And I was really keen to get to the gym, but I thought I better not go to the gym and aggravate this pain in my back, is what it seemed like. So my personal trainer suggested that I went to a physio. So I did. I seen a physio in Airdrie and he done that stuff where he cracks your back one way and cracks it the other, and felt like he was trying to paralyse me, but he said this should fix it. And then he gave me about half an hour of acupuncture where he put the needles in my back and then he attached the little crocodile clip type things and put like an electrical pulse into the muscles in my lower back for like 20-30 minutes, and I wasn't sure if that would work or not, but he's the physio, I thought I would trust him. And all that done was leave little yellow bruises on my back after the half hour, so that never really done anything. A couple of days go by and it gets worse again, so I phone my GP and they tell me to book in with the physio there. So I went there and he was free because the first one was 50 quid. So I visited the physio at my local health centre and he sort of felt different areas in my back and said, yeah, you've pulled something in your back. Painkillers and some stretching. Try and walk it off here and there, but don't do nothing strenuous. I said, okay. Went home. It got worse again. Phoned the doctor again. They tried to book me in with a physio and I said, I'd like to speak to a doctor because it's starting to concern me. So I spoke to the doctor. She lay me down. This actually makes me laugh in hindsight. She gets me to lie down on the bed and lie on my back facing the ceiling, and she lifts up one leg and she says, does it hurt? I say, no. She puts it back down. She then lifts up the other leg. She says, does that hurt? I said, yes, that sort of hurts. She puts my leg back down. She says, right, okay, come and take a seat. So I've went and sat back down and she says, so that is indicated that you have sciatica, which is like a pinched nerve in your back or leg, arse cheek, somewhere in that area. She never said arse cheek. So she sends me to the chemist to get stronger painkillers again. So I've went from taking paracetamol to ibuprofen to cocodamol to now something called diclofenac, which I'd never taken before. So I'm taking that for a few days and I'm trying to just get on with it. One night, Bryony, my fiance, is in the gym and I've decided I'm going to try and take the dog a walk because I'm putting a lot of pressure on her doing pretty much everything at home. I wasn't able to clean up and tidy, hoover, get myself up and down the stairs I was struggling with, but for some reason I decided I'm going to try and get the dog out for 10 or 15 minutes and try and alleviate some of that pressure and responsibility she has. So I take the dog out and I make it no more than 40 feet and I'm in agony. It's getting worse again. So I walk home, I come in the door and I am literally in tears. I'm crying. And I don't think, I might be wrong, but I don't think I've cried from actual pain. I've obviously cried previously, but I've not cried from physical pain since I was probably like 12 years old. I was crying. I was in so much pain. And I was like, this isn't right. So Bryony gets home from the gym and we're making dinner while I'm telling her about this. And she looks at me. I'm wearing a pair of cargos at the time and she looks at my legs and she says, one of your legs is swelling up. So I take my trousers down and we notice that one leg is significantly larger than the other and it's going like a pinkish purple colour. Not good, apparently, because Bryony immediately told me to phone NHS 24, which I did. I wanted to finish my dinner first, but she told me to phone them immediately. This is extreme. Okay, so I gave them a phone, ate my dinner while I was on hold to NHS 24. They took my details and eventually got me through to a medical professional of some sort rather than just the people who handle the calls. And they booked me in for an out of hours appointment in the hospital. So I went down at about 10 p.m. and the nurse, I think she was a nurse, has measured each leg and realised that one leg is significantly larger than the other and it's swelling up. So they send me back out to sit in A&E. I sit there until 2 in the morning and then a doctor comes out, takes me in, has some further looks at my legs, takes some blood tests and figures that I most likely have deep vein thrombosis, which is typically something that older people get. Pensioners, really. You might hear about old people, maybe your grandparents or parents, who have to wear those flight socks when they go on holiday. If you get on a plane, you need to wear compression socks or tights, and that's to help stop swelling and stop getting DVT. But that's what I had. So they gave me an injection and sent me home and said, you'll be coming back in tomorrow morning. So I was there till about 3 in the morning. They brought me back in the next morning to do some blood tests. I was there until 6 o'clock at night. And then at 6 o'clock, they told me, after they'd done some scans as well, CT scans and ultrasounds, they told me, right, it turns out you don't just have DVT, which is sort of like clotting. They said I had a clot in my knee, a clot in my inner thigh, and as they put it, extensive clotting in my pelvis or my lower abdomen, hip, all of this area. They told me that typically in situations where there's excessive clotting, they can operate on it apparently, but because of the area that the clotting was or is, there's sort of like a trunk is how they described it. There's a trunk at the bottom of your torso that goes up from your pelvis, and it's all the veins and arteries in your legs. They all come together and then go up into the rest of your body. That's where the clotting is. So it's too complicated for them to operate on. So they tell me, okay, you're getting kept in at the hospital. This is actually quite serious. And I was like, oh, that's great, because my car was due an MOT. So I had to drive Bryony's car to the hospital. So then her car was stuck in the hospital while I had been there all day, and they kept me in overnight. But they actually kept me in for 5 nights. The clotting was apparently very extensive. The doctors, I had numerous doctors come in and speak to me as if it wasn't serious, if that makes sense. I had a really nice doctor, but the way that she handled this was very strange. I thought she maybe needs to work on her bedside manner. She's came in to the hospital, into the ward. She put her hands on the edge of my bed and said, "This is quite exciting, isn't it?" And I said, "What's that?" She said, "All this clotting, it's quite scary, it's quite exciting." Quite exciting. I was shitting my pants. I was terrified. I didn't know what any of this meant. So they kept me in for a few nights. Over the weekend, it was literally me and loads of old guys in the ward. I was literally the youngest person by about 20 years in the hospital. Food was to be desired, and the staff were absolutely run off their feet, as you would expect. And that's probably why NHS staff want to receive a pay rise, and that's why they're striking. I can see the reasoning. So after 5 days, they send me home, and they've given me injections to do at home. I can't do that. I can't inject myself. I'm incapable. I've had Bryony doing it every morning and every night for, I think it's been 2 or 3 weeks now. My stomach is covered in bruises because I need to get them injections into my stomach. One on the right side, one on the left side. One in the morning, one at night. So I've been getting them for 2 weeks. Went back into the hospital last week and went for another ultrasound to look at my leg. They had a look and they said, there is good news, there's no clotting in the back of my knee anymore. I said, oh, brilliant. Bad news is the clotting in my pelvis is worse. So that's ideal. So at this stage, I am now, what are we on, the 21st of February. I think I've been doing these injections now for about 3 weeks, which means it was about a week before that I went into the hospital. So I've been dealing with knowing the situation with the clotting for 4 weeks, but dealing with the pain and the discomfort and not being able to move for a further probably 2 or 3 before that. So you're talking 8 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks of this. I've for the first while, I got absolutely nothing done. My to-do list was huge. If you look at my YouTube channel, you'll notice that I didn't really post many videos after saying I was looking forward to posting more regularly in the new year, and then didn't, because I was in the hospital and then I was catching up with other things. I was exhausted. I'm still exhausted. I don't know if I've got bags under my eyes. Anyway, I'm fine. This is not a pity party sort of thing. I'm actually fine, but this is the reason that I've not been able to post an episode yet. But I thought uploading episode 1 and then uploading nothing else is silly. So this is an update on what's been happening with me and why I haven't posted any more episodes, or any episodes for that matter. So as it stands right now, I still have to get injections. I'm looking around as if there's injections here. There isn't. I still have to get injections twice a day. I'm literally going to finish filming this, and then I'm going to give the hospital a call and find out when my next appointment is, because they've given me nothing. And hopefully, I feel a lot better, so there is no excuse for me now not cracking on. I think the only other thing that's sort of slowed me down on doing a podcast is there's this stupid thing. You can't see it. Do you know, I'm going to lift the laptop. Just a sec. MacBooks don't have any USB ports, so they have this adapter, and then you need to plug in another adapter. So you have enough USB ports for the light, for microphone, camera. There's a lot of moving parts. I don't want to rock up to someone's office to interview them for a podcast, and then for whatever reason the equipment messes up. And then it's wasted my time, it's wasted their time. Then we need to reschedule because something's went wrong. I don't know why it's so complicated I've had to set up all sorts of things on my laptop to be able to route 2 microphones into the one laptop for some reason. I don't know if it's just a MacBook thing and MacBooks are annoying. I've no idea. But that's my only other reservation. During this time, I have been doing a lot of networking just for work and business purposes and meeting a lot of interesting people who I think will be interested in coming on this podcast. I just don't want to suggest it until I've got a few episodes out with guests that I know that are happy to come on already. So that is the update with the podcast and with me. Currently, it's looking like a 3 to 6 month recovery time for myself. That was a month ago that they told me that. So I have 2 to 5 months left. Ideally, it's going to be 2 months and not 5 because I'm getting tired of this. But this has been episode 2 of the From Day One podcast. Episode 3 will have a guest. I'm not filming another one without a guest, because if I'm going to make podcast episodes and there isn't going to be a guest, I would be as well just making more YouTube videos. It would be pointless. So episode 2 in the books, and episode 3 will be with a guest. I'm going to message him right now. So thank you for listening. For those of you that have listened, I'm going to go and have a look just quickly before I sign this off and see how many subscribers we're on. 20 subscribers. Honestly, I can't knock it. 88 views on the first episode, 20 subscribers. I'm going to title this something about blood clots and that'll definitely get views. So if you've made it this far, thank you for listening, and I will have another episode for you a lot sooner than, oh my god, the last one I uploaded was 77 days ago. I'll have a new episode earlier than that, I promise. Thank you for listening. Take it easy.